This episode is going to be about worry, fear, and anxiety and how it literally crippled me into living my best life. Let's get messy. Welcome, my beautiful friends. I'm Natalie, and I'm here to share with you how I've turned my messes into messages and come out the other side. I'm not a doctor, so if you feel you need one, please get one. But if you're looking for a friend who's been there, like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Now, before we jump into how that happened, I'm going to have to tell you how I got started. When I was 16 years old, I was in a fatal car accident. I lost my little 8-year-old brother. He died right next to me. I suffered serious injuries. Nose had to be reconstructed twice. I had a gash on my forehead and in my backside. But the worst thing that I suffered from was worry, fear, and anxiety. I hated myself. I blamed myself for my brother's death. I really felt I ripped my family apart. I felt like this was all my fault. And if God or the universe or whatever was at work here could do this, then I must be a really bad person. Like, I must need to suffer real bad because I deserve it. And I bought this BS. Like, I literally thought I was this horrible person. I was put on narcotic meds, benzos, opioids, Vicodin, Percocet, Xanax, Klonopin were some of my daily doses. And now I believed that these meds made me normal, and I believed I needed them to feel normal. Addiction also ran in my family. So I'd see family members popping pills, and I just thought this was normal. And I grew up as these meds as my crutch. And then as I got older, it eventually progressed into a heroin IV addiction. But that doesn't just happen overnight, right? We don't take a pill one day and think we're ever going to be a junkie the next, but nobody plans for this stuff. We don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a drug addict. Like, nobody wants that. And it's the one disease you could be in denial that you're going to die from. When people have cancer, they're not like, oh, I'm okay, I'm not going to die. Like, you do what you need to do to save your life. But for some reason with drug addiction, like, we feel infamous. We don't think we're going to die from it. We think we can do this, we can do that. Oh, that'll never be me. I'll never be homeless. I'll never sell myself. I'll never spend my last dollar on drugs. Well, my friends, like, it's not you until it's you. So if you're listening to this right now and you struggle with addiction, or if you have a loved one struggling with addiction, if they haven't crossed these things off their list, I can't promise you things, but I can almost, because I never thought I would be that addict. And it wasn't me until it was me. The pill problem progressed into the heroin problem, into other addictions. And now a big addiction of mine was worry. I would worry about everything. I remember there was one night before school, my mom came to wake me up for school, and I realized I was literally worrying all night about what I was going to wear to school. Like, I was so scared and worried about my friends because they were already picking on me and beating me up in the hallways. It was really awful. And this all happened before my brother died. So I had to have a hall monitor walk me around from classroom to classroom because my best friends would be waiting to just call me names. They just decided they didn't like me anymore. High school can be really tough. So my first addiction was self-harm. I'd run into the bathroom and start cutting myself just to feel a release, And for some reason, that burn would just make going through the day easier. It made me feel comforted, like I wasn't going through it alone. I had this burning cut that was like soothing me in a way. I know that sounds weird, but that was my experience. And all I can do is tell you about my experience so that it can hopefully help yours. So now these worries and fears and anxieties kept me stuck, literally stuck. And it's interesting because when you start using substances or drinking a lot of alcohol, like, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to have fear, anxiety, and worry. And it's like a worry hangover, but it's all part of it. And you're going to realize you're going to realize too that the sooner you put it down, the less you're going to worry and stress about things. It's so weird, right? If I knew when I just put the drugs down that my life was going to get this much better, I probably would have done it a lot sooner. But we only know what we know. And I was living in a state of constant fear, worry, and anxiety. I didn't know how to surrender to anything but the substances I was addicted to. This last time, now I've been to a few rehab centers, but this last one really helped me because I was desperate. I wanted to save my life. I wasn't broke until, I wasn't homeless until, and now I crossed all those things off my list. Like addiction took me to some dark places. And it was time to get real with myself. I can either get better, I can look at this and own my side of the street, like what is my part in all of this? Or just keep blaming it on my childhood or my parents or the economy or anything. We can justify things in our head all day long. Like any human can literally explain to you, well, why they're stuck in any type of addiction or behavior that's negatively affecting them. They can literally tell you justifiable reasons. We all can. But what does that do for us? It just keeps us stuck. Because the reality is, it's very simple. Do good, get good. Karma's real. I didn't believe it because I was self-justifying why I needed to stay stick in my addiction. So this last time in rehab, I decided I'm doing this thing. And it's funny, guys. As soon as you decide you're going to do something, you might be, like what happened to me, you might be sideswiped by like every challenge in the world. And I think that's just the universe saying, how bad do you really want it? What are you willing to do for this reward? Because recovery it's a reward. Everyone in rehab was turning against me. They were picking on me. Surprise, surprise. Even the guys didn't like me because I wouldn't buy into their team, as the one guy called it. I wouldn't flash them when they wanted it. I wouldn't hook up with them when nobody was looking, and they didn't like that about me. Because like one girl following the rules, maybe all the girls will follow the rules. So we had this thing called slip group, where if you had someone you wanted to confront, you could slip them. And then with counselors, bring them, you versus them. They can't talk while you're talking and vice versa, so you can hear each other. Well, I would have sometimes the whole rehab, like 20, 30 people sitting across from me saying, you did that. You snuck a Reese's peanut butter cup. You had a nightlight on last night. You didn't go outside when we were supposed to. And like, who are you going to believe, me or 20 or 30 other people? But it's interesting. I stayed till graduation. It was rough. But I got pretty much everybody's respect. They would look at me when I graduated and say, I thought you were going to walk out of here. You weren't court ordered here. You didn't have to stay here. But there was something in me, this resilience saying, you can't leave. If you leave, you're going to end up in prison or 6 feet underground. And I wasn't sure what life was about. I really wasn't. I wanted to die. Like I was over this superficial existence of be rich and famous, drive this expensive car, wear this expensive designer, and like, let's all just talk about what each other looks like. I couldn't fathom living in a world where that's all anybody cared about. Like, kill me now. I don't want to be alive if all we care about is talking about each other and obsessing over each other's looks. Like, no. But I'm like, why don't we open this Bible, see what this is about? I've got nothing else. I've got no hope. I'm about to just call it quits and walk out of here and just die an overdose death. But I picked up the Bible, guys, and holy crap, like there's a lot of useful tools in that book on how to live. Like my whole fear of opening the Bible was because I'm like, well, that was written 1,000,000 years ago. I'm not going to understand it. Who knows if it's even real? It was written 1,000,000 years ago. But like that again, that was self-justifying in my head why I didn't need to read the Bible. This is a lot of work. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to self-justify why I don't need to do it. The Bible's not real. It was written 1,000,000 years ago. I'm not going to understand it anyways. Nobody reads that stuff anymore. But once I started reading it, like so much made sense to me. They talk a lot about worry and how in the Bible, I believe it says like hundreds of times, fear not. I think it says it 360 something times, like fear not. And like God is all against fear. And I believe my drug addiction was the devil and living in goodness is God. Now I know the God word freaks people out. universe, God, it's just a greater power than us. Like a big thing for me when I was active in my addictions and bad behaviors was I'm in charge. I'm running the show. Everything I do is the only thing that matters. I know everything. That's so far from the truth. But this is what I believed in my head. And I convinced myself, like, I know it all. I don't need you to tell me this. I don't need you to tell me this. Like, I'm good. I'm a functioning drug addict. I'm good. I was just fooling myself. Everybody around me knew I was using. But we'll save that for another episode. When I was in rehab, I got with a sponsor. This was during COVID, so I couldn't physically meet her, but she was on a Zoom meeting, and I was just really gravitated towards her. So we would talk on the phone every day, and she had me work steps 1 through 4, which was what I needed. 1 through 4 is admitting you're an addict, surrendering your life over to a power greater than yourself, and then turning your life over to that power that is greater than you. And that was my biggest struggle in my recovery, was turning my life over. Like, I didn't want to buy into that. I didn't want to believe that, because then that meant I had to start living different. Like, there's an energy around me 24/7, watching my every action, everything I say, even what I think. No. I'm not going to believe that, because then that means all the bad thoughts in my head, the things I do when no one's looking. Crap, that means there's a power greater than me always watching that. No wonder why my life hasn't worked out yet. Because I used to say that all the time. I'm a good person. Why do bad things keep happening to me? I was not a good person. I was lying, cheating, stealing, abusing myself and others. Like, hello. But the mind will justify these things over and over again until you finally wake up and say, okay, what's my role? And that was the biggest thing for me, owning responsibility. No one hold a gun to my head. Like, I openly chose to use these things. I openly chose to make decisions that were guided by using, obviously. So it was whatever could get me high again, whatever could get me that next fix. So my addiction was basically running the show. But I needed to surrender to the fact that there was something bigger than me at work. And you guys, my friends, like, as soon as I started doing that, my life got different. I don't know what the resistance is of change. I think I resisted change because I was so uncomfortably comfortable in my addiction. And then even in my recovery, I still didn't want to look at certain things about myself, because I truly believe it's not a drug addiction I suffer from. It's a thinking addiction. And if I don't get my mind clean, my life's not going to be clean. Your thoughts control everything, guys. But that, again, is for another video. Your thoughts are really powerful. Watch out for what you think. In doing these steps in treatment, though, I really did, I took it seriously. I didn't want to go back out on the streets. I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to be slaving to a drug, slaving my life, body, everything about my existence to this substance I could fit in a little baggie. It had all the power over me, and I willingly gave this thing power over me. I don't know why I'm getting really emotional right now. Sometimes it's just really hard. When I remember the things I used to do, and how evil I used to be, and horrible I used to be, I wake up some mornings and I'll have what we call in recovery a drug dream. Even after almost 3 years clean, I still get these drug dreams. I'll wake up and for a minute I'll feel shivers. I'll feel like hot and cold sweats. And then I'll look around and I'll see my new bedroom. Oh no, there's no way I've ever been in an apartment like this when I was using. But I'll look around and it'll bring me back into reality. And then I just let it go. I just cry. Because I get so grossed out with who I used to be. However, the moral at the end of this story is that people can change. You can change. I don't care. how scummy you are, how in debt you are. how homeless and addicted you are. Like, guys, anybody can change. And it doesn't even just have to be a drug addiction. Like, you can make a change to change anything in your life. You are in control. It's you. You can't blame this on anyone else but you. If you don't want to change, it's because you're lazy. And I didn't want to change in my active addiction because, like, I was lazy. I was comfortably uncomfortable. I knew how to do this drug addict, survival, animalistic level living type stuff. But holy cow, I love my life today. My problems today, it's crazy. And it's interesting, like, I don't worry, guys. I literally think the mind is a magnet. And what you think about, you bring about. So if you're sitting in the car worrying about traffic, it's going to bring traffic to you. When I'm in situations and say I'm running late, or an appointment cancels that I was really looking forward to, or a meeting cancels that I was excited to hear someone speak at, I surrender to that and just say, God didn't want that for me. And I don't know what's right for me. He does. So as long as I turn it over, I'm old enough now to look back at my life and see that everything that didn't go my way was for my good. Every time. But that takes surrendering and letting a power greater than you drive the car. But my friends, I promise you, just do one foot in front of the other every day. Make a decision to do the next right thing, to surrender your life and your will over to a power greater than you. And oh my God, I promise you, your life is going to get better. It just is. Looking at me right now, you would never picture me a homeless junkie, for lack of better words, IV needle user, sleeping on the side of a trap motel. You want to know how bad it was when I went to detox this last time and I finally sobered up and I'm about to take a shower for the first time in God, who knows how long. I take my clothes off. My eyes are fuzzy and I look in the mirror and I look down and I was skin and bones, abscesses, which are little bumps you'll get wherever you try to inject a substance and you miss. You get what's called an abscess, and it can turn bad. It just depends. Somehow mine just all went away. I also noticed a lump on my head, and I looked closer and it was like bacteria formed because I didn't wash my hair in a really long time. But eventually I kept washing my hair and the lump went away. I started taking some antibiotics they gave me and the abscesses went away. I was healed. And we can discuss science and doctor terminology on why I was healed, but I truly believe that it's because I was ready this time to turn my life and will over to God. And I was just done. I'm done driving the wheel. I'm done getting myself into these messes. What do you want me to do? Accept responsibility. And that was my biggest struggle. It was so easy to blame everybody else for why my life turned out bad. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, Natalie, what did you do to get yourself into this situation? And the more I humble myself in life, always, instead of pointing at other people, what's my part in it? How can I help this person change for the better? Or what can my thoughts, words, and actions do to inspire this person? I can get mad at people all day. We all can. But what does that do? The end result. I feel sometimes I used to more so get stuck in this, I want it now, immediate gratification, now. But now I see that nothing really just happens now. And most of the things that did happen to me quick when I wanted it were not good for me. Sometimes you gotta water seeds. Everybody wants to pick the flower, but nobody wants to water the seed and put in the work to watch it grow. But the end result is something beautiful. But you wouldn't know that if you just looked at the seed. It's a promise. You water the seed every day, it's going to grow into something beautiful, but you have to have faith and hope that it will. Karma's much like that. And I know because like I lived on both sides of the spectrum. I was a bad, active drug addict, lying, living on an animalistic survival level, just trying to figure out how I'm going to eat, sleep, shower, and use a bathroom. Like that was my life. And get high. Like that was the number one. All I cared about. Where's my next fix? Where am I going to use? Do I have a clean needle? Do I have money? Like those were my problems. Now it's, okay, am I going to get Starbucks today? What do I want for lunch? What are my plans for the weekend? What's my next episode going to be about? How else can I disrupt our thinking into shaking people into, guys, we need to change. We need to change. Like this world is just eating us up and it's not in a good way. Like we're all turning into shells of ourselves instead of living with the light and energy that we were supposed to purposely live with. It gets me emotional because that's a big reason why I started this podcast. I have a message to put out there. I speak every Monday night at a rehab in my area, but it's just not enough. I want to reach people on a global level. We need to disrupt our thinking. Fear and worry will cripple you, but let it cripple you into living your best life. For me, I couldn't live good until I lived bad. I needed to know what the scummiest scum of the earth felt like to then say, I want something different. A lot of times, I know for me, I didn't change until the pain got great enough, until I couldn't stand looking in the mirror anymore, until the next option was either death or prison or worse, losing my arms and my legs, right? Because I've known people that have lost everything, not just money, arms, legs, body parts. One girl I knew had a brain aneurysm. She spent a year learning how to walk again. She was only 34. Like, this is what these substances do to us. And I want to close with a story. When I was in yoga instructor training school, my guru always used to say, your balance is awful. You're too in your head. You're worrying about going up in a headstand and you haven't even gotten on the floor yet. Breathe and relax. Close your eyes and envision yourself going up effortlessly into a beautiful headstand. Now do it. So I did. Instead of worrying, oh my God, am I going to get it right? Am I going to place my arms right? I just closed my eyes and said, I see myself going right up effortlessly, just whoop, right into a beautiful handstand. And guys, when I did it, it worked. Then I tricked my brain, okay, now I'm going to think about me falling, and I fell. Worry and fear just brings upon the things we're worrying and fearing. Combat that. When you're worrying about something, say nope. Immediately switch to something that doesn't bring you worry and fear when you're in those moments of worry and fear. Sometimes when I'm driving and if I have a worry, I'll just look outside and say, God, it's so beautiful out today. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you that I have my arms and my legs, because I just have so much gratitude for something as small as having my arms and my legs, because I know a lot of people that don't, that did the same things I did. So I live in this place of just gratitude all the time. And I feel that's where we need to be. When I envisioned myself going up in that headstand, I was grateful. I was grateful that I just got up in it. I said, thank you for making me do a beautiful headstand before I even did it yet. So I think there's something to that. If we practice this, I think a lot of times we want it to be like a genie. And I want to say, give me this, and if it doesn't happen right away, I'm done. You got to water that seed, my friends, over and over. But the days are going to pass anyways. Tomorrow's going to turn into the next day, into the next day. So you might as well be watering a seed that's going to bloom a beautiful flower for you at the end of the season. Because another thing, life is just all seasons. And if you're in a hard season right now, it gets better. I promise. It does. I speak from experience. Don't give up on yourself. Don't let worry and fear and anxiety cripple you into your worst life. Let it cripple you into living your best life. Switch your perspective. Start switching fear and worry into gratitude and joy and surrender.